for Tarzan, Friday at 7:30. I'm John Tesh in the Entertainment Tonight studios. We have the exclusive from the man who wrote the book on DNA and murder. You'll hear what he has to say about the O.J. Simpson case.
O.J. will be acquitted and will probably be Grand Marshal of the Rose Parade in 1995.
What is all this O.J. defense costing? I'm Mary Hart. We'll count down the figures and show you how much juice is being squeezed.
Plus, Harrison Ford is behind the wheel and driving his car like he stole it. Back up! Back up! Stand by for Entertainment Tonight for Thursday, July 28, 1994. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Entertainment Tonight.
Joseph Wambaugh, the LA cop turned best-selling murder mystery writer, is tired of hearing about the O.J. Simpson whodunit case. Wambaugh tells E.T. in an exclusive interview that as far as he's concerned, there's no mystery at all. It's an open and shut case.
I fully expect that if patterns hold as they have in recent months, O.J. will be acquitted and will probably be Grand Marshal of the Rose Parade in 1995.
Strong, cynical words from author Joseph Wambaugh, who's been quoted as being convinced of O.J. Simpson's guilt. As the man who wrote the book on DNA testing with his 1989 work, The Blooding, he's been closely following the Simpson case and is convinced that if blood samples are left untampered by defense motions, their results will be unimpeachable.
It's foolproof. Actually, DNA fingerprinting is foolproof.
And today, as testing began on crime scene samples at the country's premier lab for genetic fingerprinting, the media was out in force as Simpson forensic expert Dr. Henry Lee arrived. And while no one involved in the investigation was talking, Joseph Wambaugh was. And he says the claims by O.J.'s defense team that DNA results aren't always accurate are ridiculous.
Well, the DNA test results are absolutely accurate and accepted as such everywhere in the world except in the United States.
Wambaugh says that's due in large part to a criminal justice system that's out of whack. And he believes O.J.'s lawyers are making the most of it.
I don't think the defense wants a fair trial. I think the defense wants to get their client off, and they will argue that's their job. They're not looking for justice. They're not looking for fair trials. They're looking for acquittals, for victories.
And Wambaugh says he fully expects them to get one.
I think it's going to be very, very hard to convict O.J. Simpson, very hard. When one person can hang that jury, I expect a hung jury. No matter what the DNA evidence proves, it doesn't matter what it proves.
Joseph Wambaugh's latest book, Finnegan's Week, will hit the New York Times bestseller list this weekend, and it's just out in paperback. And these days, he's at work on a TV movie script.
By all accounts, O.J. Simpson is the richest and most famous person ever charged with murder. His fame is not likely to dwindle, but his fortune may, at the rate of over $100,000 each week in legal expenses alone.
How do you plead to counts 1 and 2?
Absolutely 100% not guilty.
O.J. Simpson is pleading not guilty to murdering his ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman, but the price of that defense could cost O.J. nearly everything he's got. First, a look at O.J.'s current overhead, according to his 1992 divorce papers. Annual housing expenses of $264,000, $32,000 a year for his 25-year-old daughter Arnell, $10,000 to $13,000 a year for his mom Eunice, and for his 2 children with Nicole, $60,000 a year each in child support. Total tab, nearly $430,000. Now add up his mounting legal expenses, estimated by insiders at more than $15,000 a day. With high-priced lawyers like Robert Shapiro, observers say attorney's fees alone could reach $2 million by the end of the year. Plus, with expert witnesses and investigators, the total estimate for O.J.'s legal defense team could reach nearly $3 million by the end of the year. Now a look at O.J.'s assets, most of which are in real estate. His $5 million estate in Brentwood, California, he transferred to his personal attorney last month. His oceanfront home in Laguna Beach, valued at $2 million. And condominiums and other real estate worth more than $3 million. Total assets nearly $11 million. But with skyrocketing legal costs and a wrongful death suit just filed by Ron Goldman's mom, O.J.'s money supply could dry up quickly, according to legal expert Robert Pugsley.
It'll be interesting to see whether there will be anything left for them to collect once the lawyers are finished taking their fees.
That is the O.J. Simpson outgoing money story. The incoming money story isn't so cut and dried. Simpson is still under contract to NBC Sports, but it remains to be seen whether his pay will continue under his present circumstances.
Super big news about 3 showbiz celebrity couples in today's edition of the ET Gazette. But as you will note, one couple comes up short. If you haven't seen, heard, or read enough about Tom and Roseanne, relax, there is more to come. NBC Productions has confirmed plans to make an unauthorized TV movie about the tumultuous couple. There's no reaction yet from Tom or Roseanne, and there's no word on any casting.
Once I dreamed in a dream I would find you.
Barbra Streisand and Don Johnson, whose romance lasted long enough to record this song, are back in the news. It's reported that Don, fresh out of rehab and marriage, sat front and center at one of Streisand's Southern California shows. It's also reported that she blew him a kiss at the end and that they kissed passionately backstage after the show. At last report, Johnson was seen waiting for Streisand. Canada has honored its native son, Martin Short, naming him a member of the Order of Canada. It's that country's highest honor and is the equivalent of British knighthood. But Short says he only expects his closest friends to call him Sir Martin.
Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm gifted.
Great news for fans of Sir Martin. The Martin Short Show debuts on NBC this fall.
Coming up, lots of action on the set, on the mound, and in the Big Apple. First, Harrison Ford thrills us with a clear and present danger.
E.T. takes you up to bat with ESPN's Baseball Boys of Summer.
And Janet Jackson parties the night away in New York.
See your friends around last night, Mum.
Oh, 1 or 2.
Yuck, you're going to need a hand.
Oh, is that an offer? Thanks. Here's the spick and span.
What's wrong with this? Race ya.
You're on. Even in water, spick and span is faster on this tough, greasy stuff. Come on, get a move on.
How'd you do that?
Go on.
You've done this before. It's great, Mum. It's spick and span after my party.
What party?
Spick and span cuts greasy grime in half the time.
Mom's horror stories. Lawn crushing. Veggie drenching. Grass stomping. To whiten these horrible stains, you need Liquid Tide with Bleach Alternative. A great way to whiten all your clothes. Now you can get whites this dirty, this dazzling. And Liquid Tide with Bleach Alternative whitens without chlorine bleach, so it's safe to pre-treat even the brightest colors. Now Liquid Tide helps clothes look better, longer. Just look for the socks on the label.
In today's world of beers, Molson Dry is in a world all its own. Molson Dry, a world without aftertaste.
Try to leave things better than when they were found. Take action.
Two million square meters of pure fun. Super Aqua Club.
There's so much more!
Jack Ryan is back. The character Harrison Ford made thrilling in the last Tom Clancy novel turned movie, Patriot Games. The new film is clear and present danger, and this time he's been promoted to acting deputy director of the CIA. Bob Goen reports.
I told them no troops. There are troops, Jack. I didn't know that. You know I didn't know that.
No, I have no recollection of that. That's the term you have to learn.
Harrison Ford is back as CIA agent Jack Ryan in Clear and Present Danger. But this time he's gotten a promotion and becomes involved in all of the secretive, dirty dealings that go on behind closed doors in Washington.
In this particular story, the president and the national security advisor are conducting a secret war against the Colombian drug cartels. CIA operations is involved. CIA intelligence does not know about it.
Right. You should never make important decisions while you're upset.
You did. And American soldiers and innocent civilians are dead because of it.
Ford is a man who likes to immerse himself in research before a role, but he told me that because of the film's explosive content, the CIA didn't want to participate.
The first film that we did, Patriot games, I did quite a bit of research with CIA. They were very generous with their advice and counsel. For this one, because there's some question of the propriety of what CIA is doing in this story, they were a little less willing to cooperate.
And action. One. Back up, back up!
I know you have said many times that you don't do stunts, you do the running and jumping and punching and stuff. Was there some stunt doing in this one? You were hanging from helicopter skids, weren't you? And
yeah, I hung from the helicopter skid up to about, 18, 20 feet in the air, and then somebody else did it.
Ford spent over 3 months on location in Mexico for the movie and says he prefers that to shooting on a stage in Hollywood. But man, I mean, you're out there in the jungles and you got the bugs and the terrain and all that.
There's money involved, Bob.
So much money that Ford is said to be one of the highest paid stars today. But judging by his track record, he is worth every penny. Bob, go on Entertainment Tonight.
Thanks, Bob. Clear and Present Danger hits theaters next Wednesday, and there's more good news for Harrison Ford fans. The actor told us he's set to star in yet another Indiana Jones movie. Only problem is, after The Last Crusade came out 5 years ago, Ford donated Indy's trademark hat to the Smithsonian.
And there's more casting news today. Strange pairings involving 2 Oscar winners. Dennis Hopper has just been cast as the villain opposite Oscar winner Kevin Costner in Waterworld. And coming up in the fall, there's 1991's Best Actor Anthony Hopkins teaming up with quirky actor Dana Carvey. Now, Dana Carvey takes us behind the scenes down the road to Wellville, a unique comedy about a turn-of-the-century vegetarian health farm where the cures include electric shocks and yogurt enemas. Dana Carvey was out of control as one of the weirdest inhabitants of a 1907 health farm where absolutely every bodily function is monitored. Dana, or maybe it was Ross Perot, told us all about it.
There's feces in this field, see? This is Ross Perot. I got big ears. I'm in Road to Wellville, see? And I throw at George Bush.
Carvey's co-star behind those buck teeth is Anthony Hopkins. Hopkins is the whacked-out guru Dr. Kellogg. During our guided tour, Carvey pointed out one of the good doctor's absurd inventions.
Puts his feet in here, sends electrical shocks into his feet. There we are. Sits on this little pillow and pulls this down, and he sort of meets the press in here.
Now here's something only E.T. can show you. The first look at what all this nuttiness leads to as Matthew Broderick and Bridget Fonda join Dana on the road to Wellville.
Why are you here?
I like to look at the new ladies.
Oh, Eleanor's husband. What a pleasure.
Do smile at him. He has chronic wind, poor fellow.
I don't like this place. I want to go home.
But we both made a promise. We're not well, neither of us.
He always wanted sex.
It's my scientific conclusion that sex is unnecessary and dangerous.
But isn't that a bit drastic?
They're dead. They've been electrocuted.
It's rather a severe cure for flatulence, I do admit.
Take Mr. Lightbody to the yogurt room and give him 15 gallons.
Oh, no, I can't eat 15 gallons of yogurt.
Oh, it's not going in that end, Mr. Lightbody.
The flaky, twisted road to Wellville hits the big screen this fall.
Playing baseball is a pretty simple game. A ball, a bat, some bases, and some guys in tight pants. Bringing the game to TV is a slightly more complicated matter. Here now, a behind-the-plate look at how ESPN brings the game home to baseball fans.
2 minutes.
Stand by to roll B.
Each Sunday telecast is like a military operation.
You got the bug cued on disc, right?
The troops descend. We have major meetings and strategy sessions, and then somehow it all comes together as if nothing's going on at all.
We are next in 10, 9.
Baseball is a sport for summer's lazy days, but getting it on the air for ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball takes some work.
2, 1, 30.
Stand by camera 4 with power on in a moment.
And that one is belted deep in the right center field. Fox is going back. It's off the wall. And bobbled. Here comes Baerga. He will score. And it is 2-0 Cleveland.
But how do so many make something so complicated look so easy to us at home?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good.
Veteran announcer John Miller has been with the show since it hit the air 5 years ago. His secret?
Well, I think when you broadcast, you've got to be relaxed.
And he followed that with another good ball game. So I think Ron Darling is about to help these Oakland.
And you've got to be able to stay away from being tense. As a professional broadcaster, it's always important to come in, talk to the manager before the game, and get the lowdown.
It's the first time you've been in here.
Miller says another secret is careful pre-game research.
Mike,
Hi, Mike, how are you?
what's the lowdown?
We don't have any.
All right, well, thank you so much,
Hey, John,
Mike.
really, it's been good talking to you.
Now I'll try to find the other manager, and we'll do the same thing over there.
But if it's real information he wants, Miller can always turn to his partner and game analyst, Joe Morgan.
Do that favorite line that I always love when you say, that's right, John.
That's right, John.
Yeah. I love when you say that.
The more serious Morgan enjoys working with Miller, although he never knows exactly who will show up. Sometimes it's the golden tongue of the L.A. Dodgers, Vin Scully.
Joe Morgan, a dandy second baseman in his time, and a marvelous analyst. And Joe, if you don't mind, I'll do all the talking tonight.
Or perhaps the gravel-throated voice of the Chicago Cubs.
Harry Carey for Sunday Night Baseball. It could be. It might be. It is. Joe Morgan.
But no matter what voice he may use, Miller always shows up prepared.
He understands the game from a player's perspective, which is important, I think, in the way the game is now, because players otherwise get mad at you.
That's right, Joe.
I think he's one of the game's outstanding broadcasters. And just a second. And he also does a, how'd you write that down? Yeah, and he also brings rare insight into the game, wonderful humor, and does a great job of setting up his partner.
Brocious drives one very deep to left field, and this one is into the spectators.
Through all of the craziness, Miller does remain cool, and for one reason, he loves this game.
You're never aware of there being any pressure or tension or anything like that, because you're at the ball game and you're enjoying yourself because you're at the game.
Boy, he's having a blast. His Vin Scully impression is much better than mine. You know, you have to be a great announcer to do that job, because the fans of baseball are so rabid that they know more than the average announcer.
Have you ever done baseball?
No, I would never touch it. These guys have to be sensational.
Yeah, well, obviously they're having a great time doing it, and are good and entertaining. Meanwhile, Janet Jackson throws a party and pops the big question about her brother. Michael will tell you what happened next.
Your attention, please. The Super 7 jackpot has now reached $6 million. Hurry! That's $6 million Friday. Don't miss it. Super 7. It boggles the imagination.
What you are about to witness are the ancient cave drawings of number 3 Spencer.
I prefer couch, but please, have a seat.
Thank you.
All right. Cookie? Indeed. They're new snack wells. The great taste you'd expect from Mr. Crispy. 50% less fat.
What is this, for lure?
Oh, yeah. If you're going to snack, snack wells.
A bit posh for a cave, don't you think?
These days, Chrysler is not only leading the industry with revolutionary new cars and trucks, they're also leading the way with customer service. And it all starts here with the facts. This label tells you everything you need to know about your new Chrysler vehicle, right down to the manufacturer's suggested retail price. You'll find one on every new car, minivan, and truck in every Chrysler showroom in the province. At Chrysler, we believe that you have the right to get all the facts before you buy. So come in and see for yourself why your local Chrysler dealer is a dealer you can believe in.
Why pay this when you could pay this? Linen Chest's famous store-wide sale is on now with savings up to 60%. Nobody beats our prices. Compare and be convinced.
A cop gave a waitress a $2 million tip.
Critics are falling in love with the most romantic comedy of the year.
It's like a fairy tale.
4 stars. It Could Happen to You. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
The Richards have all the extra numbers, but Mr. Richards didn't play. With Super 7 Lotto 649 and Select 42, it's better to play extra.
The news in the beginning, in the end. The news from the winners, from the losers. The news on the power, on the plays. The news that puts you in the game. Pulse, the news you need to know.
Janet Jackson was singing her heart out last night for a very special cause. Proceeds from her 2 Radio City Music Hall concerts have been poured into an airlift of food and medical supplies for Rwandan refugees.
I was watching CNN, and this little kid, he was like 3 years old, he was walking down the street all by himself, and they said that his parents were killed. It really, really got to me, and that's when I said, I'm sorry, something has to be done.
At a party after the show, Janet asked fans to dish out donations for the airlift, while we asked her to dish the dirt about her brother Michael. Was it true that he and Lisa Marie Presley had really tied the knot, as reported in the tabloids 2 weeks ago?
I don't know either. I'm just like the rest of you guys. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him yet. We talked before all of that just happened, and so I don't know if it's true or not.
The accountants are still totaling up how much Janet Jackson's concerts have raised for Rwandan refugees. The relief agency hopes to turn the cash into food and medicine by as early as Tuesday.
She isn't a household name quite yet, but stand by. Comedian Margaret Cho has a new series coming up this fall on ABC. And tonight, she has her own comedy special on HBO. And so, as they say, it's now on with the Cho.
As you know by now, I'm Korean. I don't have a store or anything. Well, not anymore.
Although she's only 25 years old, Margaret Cho told us that for years she has struggled to make it big. Now, all of a sudden, she's a top stand-up comedian, has her own ABC sitcom, and her own HBO comedy special.
You tool around for years and years with this business, and then, you know, nothing happens, and nothing happens, and nothing happens, and nothing happens, and then everything happens. So I'm sort of in the midst of everything happening, and it's great. A little tiring, but I love it.
Margaret invited E.T. for an exclusive backstage look at her HBO comedy concert, and despite all the fans out front, Margaret insisted in her own unique way she wasn't nervous.
You know what I get, it's not exactly nerves, it's more a desire to please, a need to be worshipped, and that's what I feel. Not nerves.
Margaret Cho! Critics have called her a role model as perhaps the only Korean comedian with any kind of following. But in her often X-rated routine, nothing is sacred.
I look like one of those girls that you would see in a Korean grocery store on a calendar, holding a box of soy milk. Drink Vita Soy, it's good for you. There's a lot of comedians that focus in on one topic, and that's it, the political, comedy, or relationships, or whatever. But mine, it's sort of everything across the board. I talk about life and living.
And although her mom is a frequent topic on stage,
my mother is convinced that everybody in show business does drugs. She's like, oh, you cannot go to the club because they take the drug.
Margaret is pleased to report her family hasn't flinched so far.
They don't really know how to react to any of this because it's such an unusual thing. None of their friends have kids that have shows, so it's odd, but they're really thrilled. They're really proud. Thank you very much, everybody.
Finally, Margaret says part of her show business dream is her own comedy special. So how does the dream turn out?
Oh, it's even better than I dreamt it. Does that sound right? It's even better than I dreamt it.
Here's a real weather summer forecast. Hot with plenty of heat. Polytel brings you the hottest blend of summertime hits, featuring premier Shabba Ranks and TBTBT. Plus DJ Ray and all-time classics by Aswad, Toots Hibbert, Bob Marley, and Boris Gardner. 16 sizzling tracks, including the new reggae version of this year's biggest hit. Believe it! You're gonna have a long, hot, scorching summer with Raga Heat. Raga Heat, available now on CD and cassette from Polytel.
It's great, can't wait, come get the taste. Oh, View-de-Loo, oh, View-de-Loo.
Oh, View-de-Loo.
After This is proud to present Summerfest 94. Choose a delectable dish from our special summer menu of grilled specialties, chicken and seafood, and receive a second dish for only 94 cents. That's right, a second dish for only 94 cents. And remember, bring the kids, because they eat for free.
It's great, it's true. You'll love what we do. Hope you do. Hope you do.
Critics everywhere believe in angels.
Holy cow!
They're calling Disney's Angels in the Outfield enormously entertaining and blissfully funny. It's a comedic field of dreams, 4 stars, and a home run every step of the way. That Gene Shalit calls a super comedy and a flat-out wonderful movie. Disney's Angels in the Outfield.
Accept no substitutes.
Now playing at a theater near you.
You can't expect me to stay here and not avenge my own godson's murder.
Dax joins a band of Klingon warriors. Come and fight with us on a mission of vengeance.
I took a blood oath to avenge his death.
Now she'll turn her back on Starfleet.
What about the laws of the Federation?
And risk her life.
It is a good day to die
in a battle to the death. Get them! On the next episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Friday at 8 on CFCF 12.
Do you believe in UFOs? Better reserve judgment until you see the latest movie based on the most famous encounter of all time. That's tomorrow, right here on Entertainment Tonight.
Production assistance furnished by the GM MasterCard. Only the GM card lets you earn 5% on everything you buy, up to $3,500 towards a new GM vehicle, and charges no annual fee. Get your GM card now.
Celebrating a birthday this Thursday, July the 28th, actress Elizabeth Berkley is 22. Actress Georgia Engel turns 46. Sally Struthers is also 46. And actress Linda Kelsey is 48.
We're going to fly back to Manhattan for our closing music at Radio City Music Hall.
Here now, Janet Jackson at last night's Rwanda Relief Concert. Enjoy that, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Let me know what you like, if you like a hold you in my hand. You're smooth and shiny, feel so good, you can swallow sugar. I want you so bad, I can taste your love right now, baby. Day and night, night and day. All I've got to say is, if I was your girl, all the things I do to you, I'd make you call up my name right as soon as they want to. If I was your woman, the things I do to you, but I'm not, so I can't, and I won't. If I was your girl.
You've never seen a more heart-rending interpretation of Romeo and Juliet than the one on Step by Step next.
If I